Good afternoon. A man is in hospital after an early morning shooting in Kensington Market.
Police say the incident appears to be targeted. They are now asking for the public's help in locating the shooter. CTV Sean Leithong is live at the scene this noon hour with the latest. Sean.
Well, Natalie and Michelle, I'm at the corner of Oxford and Augusta, which is where the shooting would have happened at about 2:40 in the morning early this morning. According to police, the call came in at 2:38 for a man who was suffering from gunshot wounds in the intersection. That man was a man in his 30s. He was described as taken to hospital originally in life-threatening condition. That's been upgraded to just serious condition. Now, according to police, there are two suspects that they are looking for. They were both seen fleeing down Oxford Street East, which is just this direction, just shortly after the shooting. Now, the area had been closed off for much of the morning as police were gathering evidence and has since been opened up, but there was a couple of coats left in the intersection, and you could see the area where the person who had been shot was attended to. Police did not say how many bullets were fired or if both suspects fired their weapons, but they did give a description of the shooter. Here's what they had to say.
The suspect information we have available at this time is two male suspects. We're seen fleeing the area on foot, and were last seen eastbound on Oxford Street. The descriptions provided by witnesses are two male black, one wearing a white jacket wearing jeans, and the second one wearing a black jacket.
Now, police are asking anybody who may have any footage. We know there was a winter solstice party here last night that would have wrapped up just a couple of hours before the shooting. They have obviously been canvassing the area, and there are a lot of cameras along both Oxford and Augusta Street which may have captured the shooting, but police are still asking for any help in their investigation. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Natalie, Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. A woman is dead after her vehicle was hit not once but twice on Eglinton Avenue. Police tell CTV News the 60-year-old woman was behind the wheel of a Honda Civic, getting off the northbound DVP at Eglinton just after 4 p.m. yesterday. Instead of turning east on Eglinton, police say she continued north and was struck by a vehicle. The woman then veered across the Eglinton LRT tracks before getting hit by a second vehicle. She was rushed to hospital with critical injuries and did not survive. Paramedics tell us 3 other patients were checked out at the scene for minor injuries. Roads in the area were shut down for hours for this investigation. And a man was taken to hospital after a multi-vehicle crash on the Gardiner in Etobicoke. Toronto police say it happened just after 10 last night on the eastbound Gardiner at Kipling. A transport truck and 2 vehicles collided, sending an elderly man to hospital with serious, non-life-threatening injuries. No other injuries have been reported, and the investigation is ongoing.
A Toronto police officer landed in hospital after his cruiser was hit while responding to a call in Etobicoke yesterday morning. It happened just after 9:30 at the intersection of Kipling and the Queensway. Police say the officer was responding to a call with their lights activated and was involved in a crash with another vehicle. The officer was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No one in the other car was hurt. A traffic pole was knocked down as a result of the crash, and lights were out at the intersection for several hours.
The province's Special Investigations Unit is looking into the death of a woman at a downtown hotel yesterday. Toronto police responded to a disturbance call near Colborne and Yonge Streets around 1 o'clock for a report that a hotel guest was causing a disturbance. Officers made their way to this person's unit and a short time later learned that a 54-year-old woman had fallen from the balcony of the unit. She was pronounced dead on scene. Anyone with information is urged to contact police. And Durham police continue to investigate after a man was found with a gunshot wound in downtown Oshawa yesterday morning. As
CTV's Alison Hurst reports, not only are police looking for who did it, they are also trying to figure out where the actual shooting took place.
Police tape blocks a busy intersection in downtown Oshawa as officers investigate an early morning shooting.
When we were coming this morning, all the roads were blocked. I immediately knew something has happened because it's never like this.
Police say a man believed to be in his 30s was found by a local citizen on the Simcoe Street sidewalk suffering from a gunshot wound to his abdomen just north of Bond Street.
It's scary, like this one of supposed to be the safest. We're just at the backyard of the police. And so when you are seeing things like this and they said it's a shooting, then whoever the shooter is doesn't give a damn who the police are because they are just 2 seconds away.
He was taken to Sunnybrook Hospital in life-threatening condition and given immediate emergency surgery. Investigators do not believe he was shot where he was found because there were no additional 911 calls.
There are lots of apartments above the stores. This is a very active area, even in the middle of the night. I'm confident that if it happened outside, we would have received some calls for service.
They also do not have any information on the suspect.
I do not believe that there's any threat to the public safety at this point. Of course, the investigation is in its preliminary stages, and that may change, but at this point in time, I do not believe there is a threat to public safety in the area.
The intersection remained closed for several hours as officers canvassed the area, speaking to local business owners and checking security footage.
There's a lot of crime right over there. It's just for no reason, you know, people are just turning on each other. And I do want to say it's because people don't have things to do.
Police did not confirm whether or not the victim lives in this area or give us an update on his condition. They are appealing to the public, asking anyone with information or dash cam footage to contact them. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Time for a live look at the city this afternoon, and look at that. We've got some blue sky. Pretty nice way to start the week. A week for many where people will have many days off. It is Christmas this week, after all. Even if you're working, some nice conditions to get where you have to go today, but there is some unsettled weather. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison for a look at the current conditions and what's to come.
Yeah, Michelle, this feels like an important week. Lots of people have travel plans, things to do, and on the roads, we want to warn you of the fact that we are expecting a little bit of snow into tomorrow. Right now, we have a mix of sun and cloud, but I'll step aside so you can see the active weather beginning now to push its way across southwest Ontario. Measurable snow possible for us overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, but a little bit of rain or even freezing rain could mix in as well. Here's a look at our current temperature. It is 0 degrees right now in Toronto. We're on our way to a forecast daytime high of 2. It is still going to feel cooler than that once you take the winds into consideration, although those winds are expected to ease. Coming up, we'll give you an idea of how much measurable snow is in the forecast and what our odds look like at this point of a white Christmas. All of those details are ahead. For now, Michelle, back to you.
Can't wait to find out. Thank you, Lindsay. Well, in these final few days of the holiday shopping season, small business owners have been tallying their totals, many dependent on year-end profits to stay afloat.
But amid the festive frenzy, some of these stores have been targeted by thieves, affecting their Christmas sales and spirits. In this cozy vintage clothing store on Queen Street East,
Yeah, Diane von Furstenberg, really nice suit.
everything is caught on camera.
We've got signs outside saying that you will be recorded, so please don't steal because we will have to press charges.
And yet this small business in the beach has had more than $1,000 worth of merchandise stolen since September.
We realized that they were coming in groups, couples, 2 or more, and they were chit-chatting and being really friendly, taking their time, acting like regular shoppers. And then all of a sudden, when your back is turned or when they're in the change room, stuff goes missing.
This security camera footage shows one of the alleged incidents at the end of November as a man appears to shove merchandise into his jacket. 3 days earlier, a store down the street was targeted, this woman appearing to stuff children's clothing into her skirt.
They're stealing so much at one time. Whatever I have in sizes, they'll grab all of it and then go in another style and they'll do it. So they're probably reselling it.
10 days later, thieves back again, this time with a baby, allegedly stealing more items, concealing them under their clothing.
This issue is escalating, it's untenable, it's not sustainable, and quite frankly now it requires an urgent response.
People will come in with groups. They'll recognize that staff members are busy serving all their customers, and they'll try to take advantage of that.
Crime Prevention Officer Constable Jonathan Little is urging small businesses to take proactive measures to protect themselves against theft during the busy shopping season.
If you have expensive items within your business, keep those items under lock and key if possible, or to bring them closer to staff members so that they can keep an eye on those expensive items. Also, having a good camera system inside your business or signs showing that you have surveillance.
For the small shops with thin margins, mounting thefts can make or break the business they have built.
These small businesses, as resilient as they are in a supportive community, how long can they sustain these losses?
It affects our profits for the year, and this is Christmas time.
The time of year they'd rather focus on spreading cheer.
It doesn't just hurt your bottom line, but it hurts your heart a little bit too.
Determined to keep the joy of the holiday season alive and to prevent thieves from stealing their Christmas spirit. Well, amid the rush to finish up holiday shopping, new reports find many Canadians are choosing to spend less this year.
As CTV's Colton Prale reports, families are looking for savings just about everywhere, with one big exception.
It's the season of giving. Merry Christmas! But some Canadians find themselves giving
less. And you can do it if you're good at knowing what the prices are.
A new survey from TD Bank found more than a third of Canadians are cutting back on holiday spending, up from last year.
Me and my partner decided actually not to exchange gifts between the two of us this year. It's so expensive.
It's not just presents under the tree that are getting trimmed. According to TD, of those planning to save this holiday season, nearly half are cutting back on social spending.
Especially with groceries are way more expensive, so it makes like hosting and having parties a lot harder.
But even as holiday budgets decrease, 46% of people are actually spending more money on Canadian products, according to Business Development Canada. At this Ottawa artisan shop, that's leading to a boom in new customers.
When folks can check all the boxes and they're not draining their bank account or taking out loans just to support the Canadian economy, then it's a win-win.
Still, according to TD, over 3/4 of Canadians admit they're vulnerable to overspending on the holidays, feeling the pressure to create memories or spend extra to give meaningful gifts.
It is something we're willing to pay for because we really want to support Canadian producers and makers of products.
A report from Business Development Canada says if families spent an extra $100 of their expected holiday shopping on Canadian products like this, the benefit to the national economy could be as much as $2 billion. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
And still to come this noon hour, another thing for retailers to be concerned about this holiday season, counterfeit bills. We'll tell you about a new warning from the Retail Council of Canada and the shocking statistics on how many fake bills they say are being circulated. But first, doctors are urging Canadians to get vaccinated for influenza as soon as possible, as this country is experiencing the highest flu positivity rate in 3 years.
If we look at this flu season in retrospect at the end of the year, and we're going to compare it to an average flu season in Canada, this will likely be a much more challenging one. Sadly, more cases, more hospitalizations, more bad outcomes. It's probably going to shake out to be one of those. Kind of not surprising. We look at the Southern Hemisphere as an imperfect barometer as to what our flu season is going to look like. And Australia had one of their worst flu seasons on record as well. It's shaping up to be a nasty one here in Canada.
Dr. Isaac Bogosh says the flu season will likely peak over the holidays in Ontario. The province saw a positivity rate of 33.8% for the week ending December 13th. Nationally, nearly 28% of tests came back positive for the same period. Widespread activity was reported in 11 regions in 5 provinces.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials are calling their latest talks constructive and productive. It was part of an ongoing effort to end the nearly 4-year war. The White House says its shared priority with Kyiv is to stop the killing, ensure guaranteed security, and create conditions for Ukraine's recovery. President Volodymyr Zelensky says they discussed possible timeframes for specific decisions. A Kremlin envoy also said separate talks with American officials were constructive.
The U.S. has confirmed its Coast Guard is pursuing another sanctioned oil tanker in the Caribbean Sea. It comes after the Trump administration announced Saturday it had seized a tanker for the second time in less than 2 weeks. The Americans have accused Venezuela of trafficking in what they call stolen oil. Donald Trump has demanded the South American country return assets it seized from U.S. oil companies years ago. The president has also threatened a blockade of Venezuela.
Meanwhile, the appointment of a special U.S. envoy to Greenland has resulted in some pushback from Europe.
What I can say about the EU position is the following, which has been our long-standing position on the matter, that preserving the territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark, its sovereignty and the inviolability of its borders is essential for the European Union.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has been chosen for the role, but the prime ministers of Denmark and Greenland are demanding respect for their territorial integrity. They issued a joint statement saying, quote, "You cannot annex another country, not even with an argument about international security." The announcement caused a new flare-up of tensions over Washington's interest in the semi-autonomous territory of Denmark.
In the UK, police declared a major incident after a sinkhole opened up under a canal. The collapse drained part of the canal, leaving several narrowboats stranded. Drone footage broadcast by Sky News showed at least 2 boats inside the roughly 50-meter by 50-meter sinkhole, and others stranded in shallow waters with nearby land flooded. Emergency services in the English county of Shropshire have asked people to avoid the area. No injuries were reported, and about a dozen people were evacuated from boats nearby.
Debate gave way to a free-for-all during the final day of budget talks in the Turkish parliament. Members of the AK ruling party scuffled with members of the People's Republican Party yesterday, and it quickly grew as more lawmakers joined the fray. The parliamentary speaker adjourned the meeting, but the General Assembly convened later and eventually passed the 2026 budget.
More than 100 students in Gaza are hoping to attend school in Canada next year.
Dozens of universities here have accepted Palestinians for their master's and doctorate programs, but escaping the war-torn enclave poses the biggest hurdle. CTV's Kamal Karmali now on the uphill battle they're facing.
And I'm standing now in front of the remains of my home and my memories.
This pile of rubble is all that remains of Shima Arafa's home in Gaza. But instead of living here, she's supposed to be here at the University of Alberta after getting accepted to its Masters of Science program.
I can't describe my happiness at this moment. It's my glimmer of hope for me to continue my higher education.
But that glimmer darkened when she found out she couldn't get the paperwork done to get her visa, specifically the fingerprints and photo, because there's nowhere in Gaza to get that processed.
I feel so disappointed and anxious because all my future depends on this moment.
Rahman Razek also got accepted to the same school and has run into the same problem.
I want to complete my studies to help my community. We fully intend to return to Gaza after completing our education to rebuild our city again.
Good morning. Advocacy groups held a press conference earlier this month. They say there's roughly 130 students accepted to Canadian schools, all of them trapped in Gaza.
Already, 2 students have been killed and over 20 injured, and several have lost their admissions.
There are also stories like Abdullah Hassan's, who was able to get out of Gaza and completed all of his visa requirements, but still hasn't received a study permit to begin his PhD program in Toronto.
We feel like there is some discriminated against Palestinians.
Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada told CTV News all prospective international students must meet the requirements of Canada's immigration system. But advocates say they need to make some exceptions.
It reflects on a deep-seated cultural bias within our institutions and within the government.
Some European countries have been able to successfully evacuate students from Gaza by making exemptions on the requirements needed to obtain student visas. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
So perhaps the tricky thing about this week's forecast is that at times when we have active weather in the forecast, the temperature could be near freezing, which could mean some snow, or it could mean some rain or even freezing rain. Did you know Environment Canada has an official definition for what constitutes a white Christmas? Here it is, 2 centimeters of snow on the ground at 7 a.m. Christmas morning. A perfect Christmas would be falling snow. In addition to that, we're looking at a little bit of snow overnight tonight, but there could be a changeover to rain or freezing rain. And then later on this week, much the same. Some mild temperatures could also melt some of the snow that's on the ground. We're going to take you through the week ahead, including Boxing Day and beyond, after this break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. Well, it was the first official day off for the holiday break for kids not in school today. No snow on the ground for them to play, but a lot of beautiful sunshine this morning.
Oh, love the sunshine. And now we're into winter, right, officially. So hopefully we want the right Christmas, but we also want to be able to get to see our loved ones. So we need the perfect forecast, Lindsay.
I know. No pressure, right? Here's the thing. Conditions look pretty good for travel. It's not looking too tricky over the next couple of days, with the exception of tonight and into tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But yes, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day so far looking pretty good. Christmas night and into Boxing Day, another system looks like it could swing through. The question is, will it be snow or will it be rain? Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Speaking of that sun, we had a beautiful sunrise this morning, and yesterday we celebrated the winter solstice, and that in itself is a celebration of the return of light. The days are gradually going to start getting a little bit longer from here on out, we're happy to say. And so yes, this is a nice way to start off a Monday, wouldn't you say? On a week that for some is either maybe a little more relaxed or for others a little busy out there. So take care out on the roads no matter the weather. Right now it is 0 degrees in Toronto. It still feels like -4. Into the afternoon, forecasting a daytime high of about +2. All should be pretty calm today weather-wise. We're watching for a few flurries late in the afternoon, and we are near seasonal. The norm is now about 0, so how about that? Yesterday's temperature was 3 degrees. St. Catharines here, the warm spot so far today at just over 2 degrees. And then there's your evening at a glance. So still at our mildest point of the day at around 5 p.m., falling to about 1. And then there's the flurries followed by some snow that's going to fall through the overnight hours. Our temperature near +1. That is technically cold enough for snow. It's also mild enough that we could see some rain or even a little bit of freezing rain mixing in. And then tomorrow's daytime temperature is +5. So as the precip goes, we should see a changeover from some snow to a little bit of light rain tomorrow morning before a drier afternoon for your Tuesday. I mentioned that snow creeping its way into southwest Ontario. This is a disturbance that's going to bring us a little bit of measurable snow here in the GTA. There is significantly more snow on the ground for areas outside of Toronto, traditional snow belt areas, of course. Here's the thing. This model is predicting that we could pick up upwards of 5 centimeters of snow through the overnight hours tonight. I do think some of that is going to be mixed with some rain, so perhaps not quite that much, but it all gets going, the more steady precip through the overnight hours around midnight. And then there's tomorrow morning, so this likely not ideal for those venturing out on the roads. I'm happy that many people are either on holidays or perhaps working from home this week. That will help. Then it's pretty quiet again as we make our way through the second half of Tuesday into Wednesday. Varying amounts of sun and cloud and a high of 1. There's Christmas Day. Mostly cloudy skies and a high near 2. Here's the thing, though. Overnight into Friday, next system arrives. It should be cold enough to begin as maybe some snow and then perhaps change over to some rain for the daytime hours Friday. But at 1 degree, I think this is a period of time we're going to want to keep an eye on for perhaps some tricky travel returning once again. That's your 7-day forecast for now. Natalie, I'm going to send it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. And still with winter, a celebration marking the start of the season took place last evening at Kensington Market. The annual Winter Solstice Festival kicked off at Augusta and Oxford. It featured live music, theater, storytelling, and spoken word performances by local artists. Handmade lanterns were available for purchase to help add a warm glow to the festivities.
We're actually loving it. My cousin is from Edmonton, and we wanted to tour him around the city of Toronto and show him our city. And right here at the festival, and we love the music, the drums, like we can really feel it in our body, and the colors is just amazing. And I feel like everyone has a chance to experience this beautifulness.
It's really bright. It brightens up the winter solstice, especially from Edmonton. It gets really dark, so it's nice seeing the light here. So it's really nice.
This was the 36th year for the event, which is a fundraiser for Red Pepper Spectacle Arts, a nonprofit community arts organization.
Animals at the Berlin Zoo are celebrating the festive season this month. Pandas, porcupines, lions, and camels are being treated daily with Advent-style snacks and Christmas tree-shaped goodies and other special holiday treats. Staff say the tradition adds a playful, festive twist to the animals' routine.
The North York Harvest Food Bank is getting a helping hand thanks to Purolator. The company donated one of its retired delivery trucks this morning. The truck, which will help deliver donations and hot meals to communities in need, is one of 8 that Purolator has donated to food banks across Canada. It comes at a critical time for food banks and people who rely on them, with dozens of volunteers busy filling boxes for the holidays at North York Harvest this morning.
With 1 in 10 Torontonians relying on the food bank, this truck is needed more than ever. And actually, we just had a $20,000 repair bill for one of our trucks, so this truck is coming at exactly the right time.
Purolator Tackle Hunger has been our community priority for over 23 years now, and one of the ways that we're able to give back in the season of giving is by helping food banks tackle one of the biggest challenges and costs that they face right now, which is transportation costs. So by being able to donate refurbished Purolator curbside trucks right now is a great way for them to be able to deliver for the communities, the individuals and the families that need them right now.
GO train service has resumed on Lakeshore West Line after a weekend closure, but there are still some scheduling adjustments for the holidays. For those heading into the office this week, GO trains are operating on a holiday schedule, but there will be extra service on Christmas Eve to help riders get home earlier. And starting today, train schedules will be adjusted to match seasonal demand, with regular service returning January 5th. Some GO bus routes will also see changes for the holiday season, with regular service back on January 3rd. In the meantime, the TTC will be adjusting service on some routes this holiday season. Some extra bus trips that operate to get students to secondary schools will be paused until January 5th. Riders can visit the transit agency's website to check the updated schedules, with further changes taking effect during the week.
After the break, we'll sit down with Toronto's top cop to talk about the year that was and his plans to keep the city safe in the year ahead. Stay with us. Well, this year, tragic shootings, hate-fueled crimes, and violent incidents have weighed heavily on the public's sense of safety.
But as the year comes to a close, Toronto police say 2025 marked a turning point. Key crime indicators are down and response times are faster. CTV News sat down with Police Chief Myron Demkiw to talk about the progress, continued concerns, and the work ahead for 2026.
The continued investment is paying off.
Looking back on 2025, Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw is cautiously optimistic.
And as the year is coming to a close, you know, there's a lot to look at from a safety perspective that has gone in the right direction.
Homicides are down nearly 54% compared to last year. The number of shootings and firearm discharges dropped significantly. Auto thefts are down nearly 27%. Break-and-enter crime declined 11%, although the reduction in crime does follow a notably violent 2024.
We are in the midst of a multi-year hiring plan, which has allowed us to put more police officers into key roles, and that's paying dividends, and we're seeing the results of that, certainly in some of our crime statistics.
The more than 8,200-member police service includes just over 5,500 police officers, and there's a request to hire more. A growing team, Chief Demkiw says, allows them to get to scenes faster. 2 years ago, the average response time for a Priority 1 call was 20 minutes. Today, it's down to 13 and a half.
I would suggest, as a lifelong Torontonian, 13 and a half minutes is not the standard. We have work to do still.
One of his biggest concerns is youth crime.
We are seeing more and more young people involved in very, very violent events. People being apprehended with illegal firearms. The number of youths being apprehended is growing at a very significant rate. We also see the involvement of youth in our murders growing.
A moment that shook the city, the death of 8-year-old Jave Roy, struck by a stray bullet while at home in bed with his mother.
I want to start by saying how much I miss my son.
Since Jave's murder back in August, 3 youths, one who was 15 at the time, have been arrested.
It's hard not to look back at the year and not think of young Jave, 8-year-old child killed by a stray bullet. You know, in those moments, you're the chief, but I'm also a father who raised kids in our city and not very far from that neighborhood.
The chief says it's time for action and collaboration to put a stop to the pattern that starts long before a teen picks up a gun.
A lot of different partners and players in the system, whether it's healthcare, education, social services, families, faith groups, all of these things have had exposure to the life of that person. Are there opportunities to come together differently and disrupt that negative path?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Demkiw.
Having taken the helm in 2022 and with his contract renewed for 4 years in September, the 35-year veteran has overseen budgets critics say have ballooned. The Toronto Police Services Board approved a 7% increase in the operating budget next year, bringing the total to $1.43 billion. Council will vote on it in early 2026.
If you look at our budget, it's over 90% people costs, and that's, the nature of policing budgets.
One of the major pressure points the last couple of years and in the wake of the October 7th attack has been a dramatic rise in hate crime, in particular anti-Semitism, prompting additional resources to the hate crime unit while also lobbying for new legislative tools to better deal with the challenges.
I think one of the most important priorities continues to be around building trust, both in our communities we serve and within our organization.
Among the top cops' priorities for the new year is closing the gap between the improving crime data and a public that still feels unsafe. Recent efforts to tackle that sentiment include an expanded neighborhood community officer program and police deployed on transit, as well as in the downtown core. Do you think the city's safe?
Yes, I do. I think the city is safe. This is a massive city, over 3.2 million people, an incredible world-renowned city that attracts over 27 million visitors a year. And time again, we are recognized for being an incredible city to live, work, play, and visit. And it is an indication of the safety.
A new year ahead with new pressures as Toronto prepares to host the FIFA World Cup and new expectations that increased investment in policing is felt beyond the numbers.
Still to come, why a power outage led a popular ride-sharing service to put the brakes on offering rides to its customers. We'll have that and more in today's BNN Bloomberg's Business Report.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
In business news, gold futures were up this morning.
And a power outage shut down a self-driving car service for users in San Francisco. BNN Bloomberg's Roger Peterson has the details.
Gold futures surged past $4,400 U.S. on expectations of further U.S. interest rate cuts, as well as heightened geopolitical risks spurring haven demand. Most active contracts for both gold and silver were on track to settle at new record highs. Gold contracts were up more than 1% at $4,443 a troy ounce in recent trading, even hitting more than almost $4,500. Earlier, platinum and palladium futures also rallied. The upswing in U.S.-Venezuela tensions has bolstered precious metal prices as well as crude futures. The U.S. seized a second oil tanker near Venezuela on Saturday and was chasing a third as of Sunday. An hours-long power outage in San Francisco over the weekend that caused tens of thousands of households to lose electricity also knocked out Waymo's service, with the ubiquitous self-driving cars coming to a halt at darkened traffic signals, blocking traffic and angering regular drivers. Now, that became stuck as a result of it. The malfunctions this weekend are especially curious, experts say, because Waymo and other self-driving car companies design their vehicles so they can continue to operate when they lose access to wireless networks or when they encounter traffic lights that have lost power. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
According to the Retail Council of Canada, there has been an alarming rise in the circulation of fake $20, $50, and $100 bills. The council says in the past month alone, its members have reported more fake bills than in the entire previous year. They say counterfeits have become so good they are almost impossible to detect, especially during the holidays when retailers are busy and in a rush. They believe they are being printed by organized crime and are calling on the government and police to do more to stop it. Canadian businesses lose close to $9 billion per year to theft and fraud.
Canada will be working toward a new trade deal with the U.S. and Mexico in the new year, and Washington has already set its sights on Canada's dairy industry.
CTV's Jeremy Charon has more on what has farmers worried about their future.
Does this 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
For more than half a century,
I've been doing this, well, my whole life, but I took over from my dad in 1992.
Dairy farmers like Peter Reuter have been protected.
When you drive by my farm, know that behind the door there's a farmer like me producing the milk to their standards that they want, healthy, pure, and local.
Canada's supply management system means the industry and its producers are afforded certain safeguards. Quotas and minimum price guarantees ensure stability and predictability. Supply management also protects the domestic market, limiting import access.
It's not competing against the American producer. It's competing against American subsidies.
But in dairy farms like this one across the country, there is a sense of uncertainty. Concern over what CUSMA renegotiations in 2026 could mean for the system that local producers have long been accustomed to.
There comes an end point where it's not worthwhile to, give up that much market share. So we can't give up more.
This week, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told Congress the dairy industry would be a priority in upcoming trade negotiations. Under the current agreement, the U.S. gets tariff-free access to about 3.5% of Canada's dairy industry. They're pushing to expand that. Prime Minister Mark Carney has repeatedly said supply management will never be on the table in negotiations, a position he stood by when asked Friday.
Not on the table. We'll continue to protect supply management.
In a statement to CTV News, the president of the Dairy Farmers of Canada says they expect this commitment to be honored as the CUSMA review process continues. But here on the farm, the threat is hard to ignore.
If anything were to happen, it'd be vitally impossible for me to continue.
A harsh reality Rooter and the dairy industry as a whole hope they won't have to face.
Compared to the U.S. farms, I'm miniature.
Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meantime, the number of trips to Canada by U.S. residents increased in October. There were more than 1.8 million visits by American residents. That was a growth of about 45,000 from the same month last year. The number of Canadian trips to the United States this past October totaled more than 2.3 million. That was down from 3.1 million a year ago as Canadians continued to shun travel to the U.S.
Paramount is sweetening its hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Larry Ellison is putting up more than $40 billion to back the deal for his son's company. Skydance-owned Paramount says Ellison will be responsible for any damage claims as well. The company is also upping its payout if the deal is blocked by regulators to $5.8 billion. It matches what Netflix has already put on the table for its proposed transaction.
It was the #1 film at the box office this weekend, but the newest Avatar movie came in far below expectations.
If there's something you can do, then you must do it.
Avatar Fire and Ash debuted with $88 million U.S. across North America. Analysts had predicted an opening weekend of as much as $125 million at an estimated budget of $400 million. This was followed by the animated biblical adventure David, which had around $20 million in ticket sales. The film adaptation of The Housemaid, starring Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, was the right behind with $19 million to secure third.
Niagara, the Lake's iconic theatre festival is coming to Toronto. The Shaw Festival will take up a 3-year artistic residency at Toronto's Harbourfront Centre starting next year. It will mark the Shaw's first entry into the busy theatre scene on this side of Lake Ontario. The reason for the change in scenery? Well, one of the festival's regular venues, the historic Royal George Theatre, is undergoing a rebuild. The company will also continue its operations in Niagara region. Toronto-based productions are set to start in October.
In sports, the Raptors are hoping to get back in the win column visiting the Brooklyn Nets.
4 seconds, quick. Back-to-back threes. Huge.
It was a tight race throughout the game, with the Raps maintaining a slight lead in the second, but the Nets fought back, winning the game 96-81. This is the Raptors' second straight loss. The team is back on the court tomorrow, visiting the Miami Heat.
On the ice, the struggling Maple Leafs were back in action last night, visiting the Dallas Stars.
Digging down the ice, Lawton on the way, scores! Scott Lawton as the penalty expired.
Scott Lawton was the only Leaf to find the back of the net, scoring his 4th goal of the year. Toronto gave up 4 goals in the third, en route to a 5-1 loss against the Stars. The team will look to put an end to a 3-game losing streak tomorrow against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And Sidney Crosby is making history again. Crosby passed Mario Lemieux for the most points in Pittsburgh Penguins history with a goal and an assist in a 4-3 shootout win against the Habs on Sunday. The latest achievement puts the Penguins captain at 8th in NHL history for points.
Her brothers playing for the Sabres tonight as well against the Devils. Malte on the lead, she scores!
And staying on the ice, the Toronto Scepters were hoping to get back in the win column against the New York Sirens. The Scepters took a 3-2 lead in the second period on this goal by Emma Malte. They would add an empty netter toward the end of the third and went on to win the game 4-3. They are back in action Tuesday, taking on the Ottawa Charge.
A retired NHLer has been given the green light to bring his horse-drawn carriage business to Saskatoon.
As Alison Bamford explains, it is part of a greater passion the hockey player has leaned on in tough times.
Pretty hungry. Extra bales for the horses on days when it's extra cold.
That's a little chilly, hey?
Rich Pilon spends hours caring for his animals, feeding, grooming, and training.
Right now with the young horses, it's getting them to pull their own weight.
Pilon played 15 years in the NHL, almost entirely for the New York Islanders, retiring in 2001. Now he runs his own horse-drawn carriage business.
That was kind of our hobby and pastime, was horses. So I've grown up around the horses pretty much since I've been a little guy.
For 2 years, he's cut through red tape trying to get a business license in Saskatoon.
You've spoken here before.
This week, he was finally approved for a temporary permit.
It's an amazing thing that I get to do and be part of. As much as I'm getting paid to be there, it's still amazing to see that these people are having such a good time.
More than that, Pilon says this is how he heals.
Here you go.
Finding purpose in the routine.
There's an accountability and a commitment from me to them that if I'm not there to feed them, then they don't eat.
Pilon is open about his struggles with mental health, addictions, and attempted suicide. 4 years ago, he formed Horses and Hockey Let's Talk to support youth in northern Saskatchewan. These horses have traveled across the province, helping Pilon promote his mental health initiatives. Kids can learn about his story, play hockey, and interact with the animals.
It's to basically give them a break from their real life and hopefully, like I said, fill their cup with joy. They get to have some fun.
A gift these horses give Pilon every day that he hopes to pass forward. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
After the break, from Mr. Dress Up to Degrassi, we'll take you inside a new exhibit that highlights 4 decades of children's television right here in Toronto.
Finally, this noon hour, if you're looking to take a trip down memory lane, an exhibition featuring decades of kids' television history may be the place for you.
As CTV's Baird reports, the exhibition is making a return appearance in the city, much to the delight of those who remember all those old shows.
The polka dot door.
Before the streaming wars, before second screens, this was the only tube in town. Mr. Dress Up to Degrassi, 42 years of legendary Toronto Kids TV, is both a time capsule and a love letter, a celebration of shows that shaped a generation of young minds.
Here are the Grogs, of course, Casey and Finnegan, the Polka Dot Door, Muffy the Mouse, the Night Watchman Sam Crenshaw, and Miss Pennypacker.
Curator Ed Conroy says these shows may have lacked in budget, but not staying power.
And those programs were on for decades. You would have, say, a kid watch that show in the 1950s, and then their kids watched the same show, in the 80s. When those people come into this exhibit and they see these characters again and they see the sets, it's like seeing an old family member.
If you have kids, they're probably not even watching TV on TV. They're watching it on one of these. And as for the content itself, well, chances are it's a little bit different than the days of rabbit ears.
You might be tempted to think 20th century content was simpler. The simple truth, shows like Degrassi and today's special tackled social issues decades before terms like safe spaces and trauma had even been invented.
Remember that silver flask I used to carry?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
before things were more thought through and
it's like cool to learn about that.
It's nice to see that people still care about this stuff and that there's still a push to keep this sort of stuff alive.
It's a second engagement for this exhibit, a rerun as it would have been called in the 80s. So while it may be a social media world, for some people, broadcast still can't be beat.
Seeing these puppets on screen, they weren't fake. They were our friends.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Today's it's like Noreen Virgin, today's special. Okay, big memory lane moment for at least me. I love those shows. My goodness.
Yeah.
And now, the shows are seizure-inducing.
There's no tickle trunk.
No.
Well, some of them are still good, but yes, it's true. I prefer that journey down memory lane. Nice story by Corey there. Let's take one more look at our weather for the rest of the day today. We're starting to see a bit more in the way of cloud cover. That will continue to happen with some sunny breaks. Here's a look, though, at what we're anticipating as we make our way through the overnight hours tonight. Some snow beginning. 1 degree is the forecast overnight low, which technically is mild enough for us to maybe see some rain or some freezing rain mix in. We climb to a daytime high of about 5 degrees tomorrow. And a reminder, we could get some measurable snow into tomorrow morning if it stays cool enough for that. Conditions are a little calmer as we make our way into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, highs of 1 and 2 degrees. Again, though, we're watching Christmas night and into Boxing Day for the next system moving in. Natalie and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. That is CTV's News at Noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Natalie Johnson. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6 o'clock.